Hello, I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. The 2026 draft has just concluded, and it's the final draft that was based off, I believe, real-life players. Moving forward, it'll be game-generated draft classes. And in saying that, this was a particularly weak class, top to bottom. The depth was lacking. I think there was only because that first class in 2024, you go from like 5,000 players to 3,000 players. This one had 1,000 players. So it was quite a tiny class. It lacked the depth. I still didn't mind all my 20 picks. It was just increasingly difficult to find anyone worth drafting. So I hope in future versions of this game they can figure out a way to make the draft class a little more complete. I mean, although I can't complain, I did like my first pick. So I ended up picking 7th in the first round, which was, extremely disappointing considering that we were slotted in for the number 1 pick, and we dropped all the way down to 7th. But with that 7th overall pick, as you can see here, got some guys that are good. They're going to go on my elite board. With that 7th round pick, 7th round pick, we went with Grady Emerson, shortstop. He's the first high school player I selected in the first round since I've been in charge of the organization. And he's a legit shortstop. His range is 65. He's got pretty good air. He's got an arm. He can turn he's legit shortstop. If he can't handle shortstop, he can definitely play second. But that's not where we want him. We do want him at first. Not at first, but at shortstop. Currently, that's Jacob Wilson's job, but he's still better suited for second base or even possibly third base, where he's fine. Because his range is not as necessary there. Because I think Jacob Wilson still lacks the proper range. Can't remember exactly. But Jacob Wilson, even if it takes this guy 5 years, Jacob Wilson's 23. He'll be in his prime by the time this guy is probably ready to enter the league. So they will have an opportunity to hopefully play with each other if we don't have to trade Jacob due to budget constraints. I hope not. I would like to keep him for the entirety of his career. Now look at here. He's fantastic. He's projected to be good defensively. Right now he's an above average shortstop. He'll be a plus third baseman. He can steal bases. He's above average in that department. But his offense he's got a really good looking offense here. He's above average power. His contact is nearly plus. He's got a really good level eye. He doesn't strike out either, so he's going to be able to hit for speed, power, average, you name it. He's going to be able to do it. Doubles as well, looks like he can hit between the gaps, and he's got enough speed. Although I don't know if they consider that as part of his base running is good enough. He can probably get some triples out of that. So really, overall, like good-looking player. Even if he drops down by 10 points to 65, he's still going to be probably. Now this is adapts well and should find a fit in most organizations. Okay. Low adaptability. Okay, that doesn't seem to really. One of these is not correct. I thought that was funny when I drafted it. But anyway, with our number 2 pick, from here on they're all first overall or first round or first pick of that round. In the second round, I ended up picking center fielder Drew Burress. Again, good-looking player. Definitely going to be an elite level prospect. Of course, if all things hold true. And he looks to be a legit center fielder. His range is good enough, air is good enough, arm. Like he looks like, and that's where he played the majority of his college. As you can see, his rating there is 50. And he's projected to be above average. He can steal some bases as well. His power is average. He's still more of a contact guy. But everything else seems to be at least in the average area, which is good. And he's kind of, at least in this department, he's not that far off in a lot of these. They're already at 40, so he's pretty developed when it comes to that. Because you see a lot of guys that come in that have power 45, so he's almost right there in the power department. Where he's lacking is the contact and the avoid Ks. Most guys are at least at 45 or better by the time they get up to the pros or to the Major League Baseball. But defensively, he's going to be solid. So yeah, this is a good-looking kid. And center field is one of our positions of need. I keep trading, trying to find somebody to fill the hole. I keep calling guys up, and no one's been able to step up. Perhaps Drew, in a couple of years, because he's a college guy, will be able to play for us. In the third round, I went with starting pitcher Bu Peterson. I don't know if I said his first name correctly. Here he is right here. He's a high school arm, projected to have plus stuff, average movement, and below average control. A decent four-pitch mix. The changeup really kind of brings things down. He probably would have been rated higher if it wasn't for his changeup. But still looks pretty decent. Had a good high school career. And he's committed to Nebraska, but I pretty much sign everybody that I go after because I don't mind spending as much money. I save a lot of money. Plus, I do catch some guys under slot. He does look good. I think if his changeup improves, which it could through the development lab, because he's already projected to be an above-average pitcher as is. Worst case scenario, he ends up becoming a closer, one of those late inning guys, because his stuff is just really good. In the fourth round, I went with relief pitcher Tommy Turner. Tommy Turner, college arm this time. I don't think I've ever seen. Well, very rarely do I see stuff projected to be that high. He's got stuff that's projected to be. So 80 is a perfect grade scale. That's the highest it normally goes on the baseball scouting world, in the baseball world. His stuff is 90. He's got unbelievable stuff. His issue was control, which is why I didn't draft him in the higher rounds. But when saw that he was still available in the fourth round, it's very difficult to pass up this. I mean, yes, he has a lot of Joy Boyle memories, but slightly better control than Joe Boyle, and way better stuff, just not as good in the movement department. As you can see, his pitch mix is fantastic. He is a true reliever. Stamina's at 30, so he's probably never going to get much higher than that. Now, he didn't dominate in college, as you can see here. That year, until last year, ERA in the fours is not impressive. In the college, it's even less impressive. So I don't know if this was just a late bloom because he just now finally started striking out guys at a double-digit clip. I don't really pay attention to the college stats. It's nice that it's there. In my opinion, it's just extremely randomized. I'm more concerned with what he does once he's actually in pro ball. In the fifth round, with starting pitcher R.J. Cope. It's this kid here. Projected to be average. I do like him. He's also got nearly plus power, so he could potentially find himself on the field as well if pitching doesn't work. So he's a nice, good dual threat here, dual two-way player. Above average stuff, average movement, below average control, a solid three-pitch mix. Gives him even more value is his power being nearly plus. So with that kind of power and the ability to, it looks like he could play first base. Let's look at his actual ratings. He could be a right fielder as well. He's got enough, I think, to be a decent right fielder. So we'll see what happens. It can obviously be a first baseman. What is his potential K? Just how do you avoid Ks? Looks like the avoid Ks is going to always keep him down, so it's his contact. But he's got power. Okay. In the sixth round, I went with right fielder Luca Reyes. Nothing special. This is when it starts becoming harder. Like I just started finding it more difficult to find players worthwhile. He's a solid player because he's got some power. He's got above average power. He's got decent contact. His I and K rate is a little low. A left fielder pretty much. Just currently, more than likely, he's going to be organizational depth and some trade piece way down the road. Because there's nothing that's particularly exciting about him. When I look at him, he's going to have some very favorable TCR in order to make his way onto my major league roster. In the 7th round, I went with relief pitcher Jaden Stockton. Jaden Stockton is a well-developed college arm. As you can see here, his potential is only 40. He's already at 30. So the minimum is 20. So he's already halfway to his projected potential. And he could definitely be a bullpen arm as soon as next year sometime if he can fly through the ranks. He's going to have to fly through the ranks and prove himself worthy. But he's got nearly plus stuff. Average movement to control is his issue. As you can see, he's got a really good 4-pitch mix, which is kind of, unusual for a reliever. He's a middle reliever. So having 4 pitches that he can throw at a plus rate or better is pretty darn good because it's not needed. You don't need that many good pitches. If he stuck to his fastball and slider, probably would be even better. But he does look good. I'm excited for this young man as he's much closer to major league ready. Even if he's one of my worst bullpen options, he definitely has a future. He's not going to be a closer or anything like that, but he can definitely come in, make an impact, mop-up duty, which is a necessary job. Somebody has to come in, whether we're up big or down big. Somebody's got to eat up some innings, and I don't want to risk on the better players. In the 8th round, I went with relief pitcher Mike Miller. As you noticed, I dip into a lot of relievers. Like I said, the pickings were slim. This is when you start seeing the overalls just being crazy low. Like, normally I don't want to draft guys. 8th round, we're picking guys with 35 potential. It was tough to find dudes. I was looking through every filter I could possibly find to look for like a specific rating. I managed to do it for all 20 picks, but man, was it becoming slim pickings. But anyway, he, aside from his control and movement, he's got plus stuff. He's got a perfect grade fastball if he ever gets there. Could probably still add some velocity at his young age, close to hitting triple digits. Changeup is always going to be his problem. Controls is the issue. Movement not very good either. So giving up home runs is going to be quite an issue with this young man. But you take what you can with this draft. It wasn't much I could do. In the 9th round, I went for another relief pitcher. That's 3 relievers in a row. Sam Tukian. Again, I don't know if I said that name correctly. He's pretty much as developed as he's going to get. Get another power pitcher because of his stuff, plus stuff. So I did go for guys with stuff because that does have value, even if it's a career minor leaguer. You got to have depth down there too. Not every player you're going to draft in every class is going to make it to your active roster. It's just there's not enough slots available. There's too many guys drafted because you got to think about it. If they're protected under Rule 5, that means what? You got 100 players in every draft class? Because 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 every 5 years. You can only have 40-man active rosters and 26, or secondary roster 40 and 26 when you're active. So the math doesn't math very quickly. That doesn't include your international free agent signings. It doesn't include your scouting discoveries. Once in a while, you find enough players there. You figure at least 1 or 2 a year that can probably contend for a roster spot. And then any player you trade for. So it quickly becomes necessary to have minor league depth to avoid having those 30 and 100 seasons in your AAA. In the 10th round, I went with first baseman Jackson McKenzie. Jackson McKenzie is a power hitting first baseman, a very traditional first baseman. Like I said, now we're into 30s. But he's got power, so he's going to, a lot of these guys are going to need TCR to really hit them hard. But he's a good leader, got work ethic, intelligent, so he's got some things that are boding well for him. His issue is his only asset right now is his power. Outside of that, in the 11th round, I went with catcher Colin Barksey. Where is it? There he is. Again, solely drafted because of his power. But he's actually pretty good defensively. I wish he was a good worker. He's not a good worker, so he might have trouble reaching his limited potential as is. But he is smart. Um, a smart man who doesn't work hard. Those are always fun. Smart man just doesn't like to work hard. Not loyal either, so don't bring your girl around him, because he might be a friend of your face, but he's going to be trying to get with her the entire time. That's all he's going to try to do. He's going to try to show her how hard he can hit a ball, and he's going to say some quirky little quotes because he's smart. And he's not going to work very hard to get her. He's going to wait for you to bring her to him. That's the kind of man this guy is. That's the kind of guy we draft. In the 13th round, I went with shortstop Jaron Purify. Jaron Purify. He's going to purify our minor league system. Now I went for guys that were good on base because this part was limited. Like, no one here was worthy. Like, offensive wise, these guys were not worthy. But he's not bad, really, if you look at it. He's got decent on base skills. His defensively, he's good. He's going to be a good second baseman, like defensively at least. The offense is going to always be his issue because he's just not that good. But outside of that, it's probably, like I said, another one of those minor league permanent players. But you got to draft somebody. There's 20 picks. I got to do something with them. In the 14th round, I went with center fielder Braden Martin. Pretty good player. Really good on the base pass. Offense lacking. Defense is solid for left field. That's where he's going to probably end up as he progresses through the minors. He might end up playing some center field just due to the fact that he's got enough range to probably be better than most of his peers. But eventually his long-term home should be left field. In the 15th round, I went with center fielder Cole Eaton, another center fielder. Again, the same theme. You got decent skills on the base pass. Offense is putrid. Defensively, he should be a left fielder throughout his entire career. So wouldn't be surprised. I got a lot of guys that are pretty much the same. It's just player A, and then we pick player 2A and 3A and 4A and so on. In the 16th round, I went with shortstop Jason Walk. Really good on the base pass, but unfortunately, I don't know if his offense will ever. Although he's got some hope. The avoid case is already his 60 projection. The contact's at 50. It almost reminds me of a player we once had, and that's Nick Allen. Just not as good with the contact or avoid case. Maybe a little more power than Nick, but it does kind of remind me of Nick Allen, but nowhere near defensively as good. This guy is not really a shortstop. Not really a second baseman either. He could do second base. He could be a poor man's center fielder. He could be a pretty good left fielder. So he's got some versatility available. But nothing overly exciting. But pretty good pick for a 16th round. In the 17th round, I went with center fielder Derek Tarpley Jr. Again, one of those base pass guys, and he's a legit center fielder. That's really good range. That's some of the best range I've seen. That's some of the best range I've drafted since I've took over the team. Although unless his offense picks up, he's never going to see the field for the Oakland A's because he's just not good enough. Defensively, he looks like he's going to be a stud. Offensively, nothing. On the base pass, great. So he'll probably be a minor league Hall of Famer, but that's it. 18th round, I went to shortstop Elijah Ikes. Again, good on the base pass. Defensively, not really a shortstop. Not really a second baseman. I would say more of a first baseman who doesn't have power, which is weird. He's got good outfield range, so he's going to find himself transitioning out to left field fairly soon. In the 19th round, I went with starting pitcher Kerry Herndon Brown. He's an interesting character because I didn't pick him because of his pitching attributes. As you see, they're all below average, roughly. I picked him because he's a rare pitcher that for some reason can run really well. So if he doesn't pitch, he can eventually become looks like a solid left fielder. See if I sent him to center fielder. Yeah, he would be better off just giving up pitching, because he would actually be. Yeah, just give up pitching. There's no need to pitch. You'd be a better. Has been currently a center fielder. Yeah, he'd be a better fielder, a better batter if he just concentrated full time. And then our final pick of the draft was relief pitcher JT Gibson. So another reliever. Where the hell is Gibson? Okay, I know my ABCs. There you are. Gibson he looks fairly decent for getting the last pick of the draft. Average stuff, average movement. The control is just atrocious. But I got 2 pitches that are graded above average, so it's kind of what I'm relying on. I'm hoping some TCR can help us. So really, the majority of these guys is TCR based. I'm just hoping that TCR will be in my favor. So yeah, that's the draft class. It's not an exciting class. Majority of it needs favorable TCR to ever see the major league field. But there's some good ones, especially shortstop Grady Emerson. That's the most exciting player in this class, and one of the most exciting players in recent memory that I've drafted because of his ability to actually play shortstop. So you imagine this should get better once I get him up to the big leagues, because I like to develop them as a shortstop and get them up there. So that's it for this video. The next video is going to be the Elite Prospects Midseason Review.